Hey everybody, it is me, Angel Benton, and it is time for another edition of Angel Sudsy Recap, where we delve into the world of daytime television and we do a few reality shows on the side for now. And one of those daytime TV shows that we're doing is Days of Our Lives, and this past week that I just watched was so good. It was so good. I've got to say, right now, Days of Our Lives is on a roll. Like, they are getting it. So, I give a huge props to the writing team, to the directing team, to the production team, and to the actors there. Everyone is just really putting in a lot of hard work, and it's really coming across because it is so good right now. The show is so good. Okay, so before we get into Days of Our Lives, as you can see, I'm not in Fall River, Massachusetts anymore. I came home and I'm in Glendale tonight, and I'm off to Disneyland tomorrow. And then I'm coming back home to Las Vegas until Wednesday, and then I go back to Fall River on Wednesday. So anyways, so still no tripod because, I don't have. Now, usually when I'm here in Glendale, I actually bring my tripod. But this time, because I literally came straight from the airport, I didn't have time to go home and get it. So I'm back to ghetto style holding my phone. So sorry about that. If you don't like it, I apologize. Okay, so let's talk about Days of Our Lives. So usually, you know how I always finish talking about the gays? This time, let's talk about the gays first. So Will had a flash of a memory, right? And he remembered Sonny saying that he loved him. And then he remembered how he felt when Sonny said that. And he Sonny's in the middle of this lawsuit with Leo. And he enlists his boyfriend, Paul, to do some private investigation work on Leo. And then they found out a whole bunch of stuff about Leo. They find out that he was an escort. They said escort, and then Will's like, he was a prostitute? They're two different things, but okay. For the sake of this show, I will let that go. And then they were talking about how, he's been arrested a few times, and his real name is, I think it's like Matthew Coogan or something like that. Like, is not Leo. And so Will's like, well, I need to tell Sonny. So he goes over to Sonny's house, and Leo is over there. Now, Leo had been meeting with Kate, and Kate because Kate, when Kate inherited this little scheme to sue Sonny and bring down Titan, she had inherited this from Vivian. Well, because we all know she shot Vivian and killed her, and then she took over this plot. But she didn't know that Chad was going to be up for the CEO position at Titan. So now Chad's got it, and so they kind of have a pact between Kate and Chad where if Kate gets Leo to drop the lawsuit, Chad won't tell Sonny that Kate's involved. Okay? So she tells Leo, she's like, you're going to accept the settlement. And he's like, why would I accept the settlement when I've got them on the ropes? Like, why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. And she's like, you're going to do it because if you don't, you're going to go to jail. Like, it will somehow get out that this was all, faked by you. And she was, laying out this big old thing where, because Leo was like, well, this settlement is so paltry that I will get hardly anything after I pay the lawyers and I do and pay my taxes, and then I get nothing left. She's like, yeah, but you'll have your dignity and blah, blah, blah. And so he realizes that he has no choice. He's got to end this lawsuit unless he marries Sonny. So then he goes to Sonny's house and he's like, let's get married. And Sonny's like, are you insane? You who are suing me for sexual harassment, you want to marry me? He's like, yep. So Sonny's like, that's ridiculous. Then he's like, okay, fine, whatever. I'll marry you. And then Will comes in. And then he's like, wait, Sonny, you've got to know this. And he shows Sonny's like, oh my God, I can't believe I almost married you. And Leo lost it. He's like, you couldn't stay out of it. And then he goes and he starts choking Will. Now, Will being choked. Now, allegedly, Will being choked brought Sonny back to when Ben Weston killed Will. And he grabs Leo and he throws him against the fireplace. Then he ends up dying from a head injury that he got when Sonny tossed him against the fireplace. But here's the thing. Here's the problem I have with that. Sonny was not in town when Will was killed. He came back for the funeral, but that was it. Like, he was not around when Will was killed. So he does not know anything about Will being killed, being strangled. He doesn't know anything about that. So that's kind of a reach. And second of all, from an audience perspective, it was a different actor playing Will. So we don't necessarily automatically assume that he's thinking of, Ben Weston strangling Will, which wouldn't make sense anyways, because like I said, he wasn't even in town when that happened. So I'm just saying that's taking a little bit of liberties with that, but okay, whatever. So they got this dead body, and so they roll him up in the, this is like so funny because this is right out of Young and the Restless. I don't know if you remember, but if you watched Young and the Restless, you know that when Phyllis killed Dr. Tim, she rolled him up in the carpet, and she had Kevin Fisher, who was played by Greg Rikaart, who is playing Leo. He's the corpse this time, but last time he was one of the ones helping Phyllis dispose of the body. So this time he's the corpse. So they have to get rid of it, but so Sonny goes out to go get his car, and Paul shows up. He's like, oh my God. Hi, Paul. And he's kind of a little bit nervous or whatever. And Paul's like, Paul ends up leaving, but he's like, something's kind of weird going on. So, but while he's dealing with Sonny, Maggie walks in to see Will with the carpet. And he's like, yeah, Ariana spilled some grape juice, and I'm just going to take it to go get cleaned. And she's like, oh, I've got some solvent. You'll be able to get it out. So Will's like, and then Maggie gets this text, and she has to go. And so Sonny and Will, they end up taking the body and putting it in Leo's car and staging an accident so that no one knows, what they've done, right? Okay. So now you can actually add one body to Sonny's body count because he's now killed someone. So just keep a running tally of the number of times someone on this show has killed someone, right? Okay, so where Maggie got called to was, and now that'll segue us right into the next story, which is this was fierce. This was the Tate. It was Tate's custody hearing between Teresa and Brady, and it was great. It was great. So, as you know, Justin Kiriakis is Brady's attorney, of course, but Gio Marini, who was defending Leo until Leo signed the settlement or disappeared, now he's representing Teresa, and he is fantastic, right? So first person, he calls Maggie to the stand, and Maggie then swears in under oath, and under oath he asks her, so are you Brady Black's AA sponsor? And she has to tell the truth, and she's like, yes, I am. And so, he gets her to basically paint him as a drunk. So Justin's like, oh shit, okay. So then Justin's like, that's fine, I've got a witness of my own. I've got a witness that'll paint Teresa as a horribly unfit, uncaring mother. And then so they called in Chloe Lane. Now, okay, here's the thing. I get why Chloe's pissed off. I get why she's taking it personal. I understand because she was, facing death with El Fideo, blah, blah, blah. But she's not, she's kind of probably the last person that should be giving anyone parental tips, to be perfectly honest with you. She's not going to win Mother of the Year anytime soon. And here's the thing. So Justin is, of course, asking her questions that make Teresa look awful or whatever. And Teresa's freaking out. And so she tells her lawyer, and he's like, oh, I got this. I got this. And so he, and honestly, he didn't even go as hard as her as he could have. Because he could have really gone hard at Chloe with all kinds of shit from Chloe's past. But he didn't. He did, though, say, you know, you were married to Brady, and did he not give you some money for the purchase of your club? And she's like, yes, but I'm going to be paying him back. She's like, oh yeah, so, okay, so you're indebted to him, okay. And she's like, but that's not why I'm giving my testimony, blah, blah, blah. But it was enough to plant reasonable doubt in the judge's mind. And I mean, like, I would have also gone at her with, and weren't you the one that got him addicted to drugs when you were married to him, when you were in Europe together? Weren't you also the one who was on an internet porn site called operagirl.net, which actually it wasn't a porn site in the respect that someone was shooting porn. She didn't know it was like a peep show that was being filmed, but he would have spun that, you know, like if I was really going hard for Chloe, I would like make her cry with that, you know. I'd be like, and didn't you cheat on your husband Lucas with Dr. Daniel? And yeah, so I mean, like, I would have even gone much harder, but he didn't. But I was still impressed with how hard he did go at her and how much he knew and how he had done his job. So then at the end of the week, he calls Eve to the stand and he asks Eve all about Damos's murder. And she's like, what does this have to do with anything? And he's like, the one thing that troubles me is, how did you get that amulet? Okay, well, that's kind of cool that he even knew about that amulet. He's like, because the police report say, so he had obviously done his homework. So I loved it. I was like, yes, honey, yes, yes, yeah. I was snapping like crazy. I was like, yes, get it. And he basically painted Brady out to be the one that murdered Deimos. And because another thing that they mentioned to Chloe was, they were like, didn't you sue Nicole Walker for custody of Holly? And she was like, oh, shit. And she was like, I mean, yes. And so that's what I'm saying. There's a lot that they could really go after Chloe for. They haven't, so they could easily. But they didn't, and that's fine, whatever. So at the end of the week, we now know, we see Eve basically implicating Brady. They've mentioned Nicole. I know Nicole's coming back to the show, so I'm sure it's just a matter of time. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go. But anyways, thank you so much for logging on today. I do appreciate it. Please feel free to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Angel Benton. You can hashtag days or DOOL to talk days of our lives, or you can also hashtag YR to talk Young and the Restless. I'm doing that next. And you can hit that subscribe button on my YouTube channel to get my YouTube videos sent to your email inbox every single day. All right, everyone, have a great day. Peace out. Wubba, wubba, wubba.